welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, How to Get It Just Right. Thank you so much for joining us for another insightful and exciting conversation. As we kick off 2025, I want to spend today, this particular episode, as a conversation about how do we make money work for us so that we can get our lives just right and build our financial viability and our resiliency just right. Because when we don't get this part just right, all the other aspects of our life comes crumbling down. And this is one of those foundational pillars that we need to set up right. And as the world around us evolves and the realities are changing, this is the right time for everybody to take stock of how do I make sure my financial well-being is resilient, my family is resilient, and I am making sure that for me and my family, our money is working for us instead of us working for the money. So to join me in this conversation is a dear friend and my business partner in this financial wellness, financial resiliency journey, Dominique. Dominique, welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks.
Good morning. Happy New Year, Cassidy. It's wonderful to see you. And I'm so grateful for our relationship, but also I'm grateful that you can be where you are today and I can be where I am in Los Angeles, and we can still be connected and connect out to the world. This is beautiful.
Absolutely. And a happy new year to you too, Dominique. As we get started, I want us to kick off the conversation talking about what do we mean by making our money work for us? And then let the conversation flow from there.
Great. My favorite conversation to have, actually, because I say that not from a superiority standpoint in any way. I say that from the fact that every day I learn something from the work that I do, the mentors that I have, the clients that I help, my teammates. I am in a constant state of learning, and there's so much to learn about how money works.
And that's one of the things that I love working with you about, Dominique. We come from two different parts of the world, two different cultures, two different ways of thinking and functioning.
Definitely.
But what aligns us is our ability to want to help people figure out how their money can work best for them. And in the process, how they can build a better life and be happy and live meaningfully. And to me, what's important is when people understand how money works and how they can make their money work for them. Now they have to make sure they're conscious about their relationship with money and wealth creation.
Yeah.
And in the process, build the right relationships to put things in place. Therefore, they need to understand psychologically their relationship with money,
Absolutely.
psychologically their relationship with wealth and wealth creation, and then psychologically their relationship with community and trust building, so that they are comfortable in navigating this.
Everything that you're saying is the foundation. The foundation is one of the things that I love about working in the business that I work is that our emphasis is on teaching people how they feel now is a reflection of what their life is. And when you are stressed, when you are having problems in your relationships, with money, with people, it is directly shown out in the physical reality that you're experiencing. So the first step is cleaning up your relationship to those things and feeling good about those things. Maybe you think when I say that, oh, that's ridiculous, but just do a self-examination. What do things look like in your life right now? Are you entering 2025 with a sense of like, oh, I'm so excited about this year. I've put into place some systems that are going to really help me pave the way to my goals and dreams? Or are you saying, oh, it's just another year. It's just going to be just like last year? Or are you completely blind to any of that and just kind of go with the flow, even if the flow isn't going in the direction that you want? I personally think that this is the beginning for all results, that we have to actually identify what it is that we want so that we can connect to it in a way that makes us feel strong and happy, so that then when it's delivered to us, we're not only in that deserving place of it, but we're ready for more. We're actually ready for more.
Mm-hmm. And that is a beautiful realization to come to. But a lot of people have a relationship with money based on scarcity.
Absolutely.
Our childhood experiences shape our relationship with money. I mean, I have been in the world of finance for 34 years. I've been a CFO for more than 20 years. People who work for me, people who come from different parts of the world, when they have not had what they wanted growing up, their tendency is to go and spend their money buying things. Always tease the ladies who work for me. Why do you need to carry a 2.5 grand Louis Vuitton purse? What's inside the purse? A credit card and credit card debt. What if you carry a normal purse and keep that money in the bank, right?
I love that so much.
But the mindset is, because I didn't have anything growing up, having this now makes me feel like I'm rich. And the real sadness is people who have a wealth abundance mindset, they don't buy stuff. They don't spend on things that don't last, right? They invest, they let their money work for them. But people who have grown up and continue to be in a scarcity mindset, they're the ones who hoard, they're the ones who buy things, they're the ones who need those brands to make them feel like they have arrived. But truly, all they have done is made somebody else rich.
I'm chuckling because you and I have both worked with some of the wealthiest people on the planet. You with Warren Buffett directly, and myself with Steve Jobs. And I laugh because Steve wore Levi's 501s, New Balance shoes, and a black turtleneck that Issey Miyake made. It wasn't cheap, but still, that's all he ever wore. I knew him for years. He really was, he really committed to that. And although he drove Porsches and he had nice cars, he was not a consumer. And I know that Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought maybe in the 50s in Omaha, Nebraska, and doesn't drive a fancy car and still eats at McDonald's and looks for deals. And so it's very interesting when you actually understand that it's not the stuff, but it's the mind around what your priorities are that drive your ability to understand how money works.
Mm-hmm. And that's why healing is part of this journey, right? When you and I help people take this journey and figure out how their money can work for them, we start with education and healing and help them shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, and then help them build these collaborative relationships. The relationships are going to help them get there. And the beauty of what we do is we deliver this to the people we serve at no cost to them.
Correct. That to me, it's always shocking when people say to me, well, what do you charge? And then I will say, I don't charge for my services. And they're a little bit taken aback because they need to come to terms with, oh, this is it actually is on me to learn what you're giving in order to make the right decision. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about being able to teach anybody at any level of their financial understanding a little bit more. When I met you, that was really where we connected. It was like, let me show you some new things that maybe you hadn't seen before, and your level of knowledge, right? And then being able to say, wow, what do you think of this? And you going, wow, this is amazing, was an honor and a privilege, but also very indicative of the way that the financial services industry works, delivering us just enough information to make sure that they're going to benefit, but not enough information to actually create a situation where the individual, the client, the regular person can benefit. This is our goal. Our goal is that we can educate people enough that they can feel strong in their decisions and understand that they do have choices.
Absolutely. And we are moving faster into a gig economy. Even government in the United States is going to downsize as we hear all the conversations. My understanding is Elon Musk and Trump are even offering 2 to 5 years of payout if government officials will retire just to reduce the size of government. And everybody has a second act. Everybody has to go and figure something out. And as they come out of their full-time roles to enter the gig economy, either by choice or by necessity, people need to figure out, what am I going to do with my money and how is that going to work for me, instead of become the capital for the companies I'm investing in. And they do what they do and they take the risks they take. And when it's time for me to retire, it might not be there.
Correct.
So making sure my money works for me is not just that the money is growing,
Correct.
but how do I put a floor underneath it so that I don't lose my shirt over this? And then how do I truly start thinking about, I focused on one thing, full-time job working for somebody.
Yes.
Even if I want to go and get another job, how do I make sure I'm not up a creek without a paddle when the other person says, I don't want you anymore? What is that alternate way I can create a stream of income? Can I convert that active income generation into a long-term passive process? How do I build relationships? How do I leverage my relationships to do this? These are all things we need to think of. And I am excited about the fact that in the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be massive shift of wealth.
Yes.
Shift of wealth from old baby boomer men to the younger generation. And for the first time in the world history, more than 50% of global assets are going to be managed by women, owned by women.
I hope people heard what you just said. This is a very, very important and interesting fact that for the first time in our history, this wealth transfer is going to go to a majority of young women. This is very, very interesting. And when you look historically at the way that finances have been taught, and you look at basically the landscape of advisory in our country, it is men over 55 who are white. Okay. Now, that there's nothing wrong with that scenario from the perspective of if I have choices. But if you can't identify as a Latina woman, as an Asian woman, as a young woman to that demographic, the choices are pretty limited. And so when somebody sits with me and they're like, wow, you can relate to my life experience. You can understand, having a daughter who's 28 years old, what my life actually looks like and how the financial choices now are going to affect me. It's a different conversation and extremely important. Now, there's something else that you said in there that I want to make sure people catch, which is the floor. Why did nobody in the year 2000 advised me, by the way, I was paying for money management. I was paying for money management. Why did nobody in that situation advise me when I asked the question, what happens when the market goes down, that there were options for my money to not lose money? Instead, and I challenge everybody who has been working with a financial advisor, ask yourself if you ever heard this phrase, because 99% of people have. You're going to play the game and you're going to take the ride, or some version of that. And here's the piece that always gets you, because the monkey brain is always looking for what it wants to find. The market always comes back. Now, what if you never had to lose a dime? What if you were in a platform or scenario or a vehicle that never crashed? I'll tell you what the answer to that question is. You'd never have to go through recovery. So when I lost 25% of my net worth in 2000, I had to gain 50% of my net worth back in order to get to zero. When I lost 44%, because I didn't learn, because I didn't know where to look in 2008, then I lost 44%. After, once again, asking the same question. Now I teach people how not to have to do that, to almost gain 100% of their loss back. This is very, very important and not common knowledge. So this is why we're here today.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I love doing what we do and the way we do it together. And we come from a perspective of teaching, nurturing, and giving people choices and letting people choose. Letting people choose on what works for them. And the most fascinating reality with the wealth transfer is women and young people are not going to make decisions the way older white men made decisions.
Absolutely.
It's not all money chasing money, because women are nurturers, women think about ethical investment, women think about life affirming, sustainable choices, and so do young people. So traditional vehicles are going to miss the mark. Traditional vehicles are going to be too cutthroat, and people are not as important as profits. And the people who were overlooked are going to be the ones with the money now. And the irony is all the older baby boomers had younger wives, right? So the younger wives are going to inherit, which is also an interesting conversation to have.
That is.
And so now the trophy wives are the trophy holders, right? And what happens and how have they been treated? For me, the most interesting example that comes to mind is if you've ever been a Best Buy customer. I forget the name of the lady, but there was a woman who became the head of marketing for Best Buy. And when she started doing her site visits to the Best Buy stores, every time she walked into the store with her teammates, every question she asked at Best Buy, because it's a tech gadget thing, the salespeople always look at the man and respond. And this is a pet peeve for me. My husband doesn't know where the on switch of a computer is. But when we go in, they're always answering him, even when the question is coming from me. And that is a masculine mindset. And what this woman realized is 70% of all major decisions are made by women, and nobody's talking to women. So she created what she called the Magnolia division. And even today, there's a Magnolia section in Best Buy. It's set up differently. It's set up like a living room, the way women like to engage. The women like to interact and shop and learn about technology. And because she grew up in Montana, I believe, watching the wolves, she took a page from the wolves. The wolf pack is one of the most intelligent species. And what they do is they find a injured male that has been kicked out of the pack by a young male who's moving in, and they nurse that male wolf back to health so that the male wolf can be absorbed into the pack, so that the procreation and the gene pool becomes that much more vital. She took that page from Mother Nature and created the Magnolia Division, where she embedded one guy with 9 women and created training programs for men to learn to engage with women. We almost need to take a page from that experience from Best Buy and the Magnolia Division if the traditional financial services institutions are going to be able to be successful serving women and younger people who are going to function differently.
That got me really thinking about, thank you so much for sharing that story. I'd never heard that story, and I'm fascinated with the women of power at this moment. Like Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie, what is her last name?
French, Mackenzie
Okay.
French.
So she is phenomenal. She has given away more money in the last 1 or 2 years than Jeff Bezos has given in his entire life. And not that I'm in a comparison mode, but it just shows exactly what you just said. What you just said is that when you come from a female perspective of, being the nurturer in general, in the male-female dynamic, you understand that women have the power to change the world at very high levels, of course, because money is power. But then if we're teaching this is coming all the way down to the babies. And so we can see that we're going to have a tremendous effect as financial leaders in this next generation. And what's interesting about this next generation, especially the Zs, is they want experiences. They want to experience what's happening at the highest levels of their ability. So they're not necessarily, it's funny, they're not interested in my grandmother's dishes, right? They don't care about the stuff. They don't even think about owning a home because it's so out of sight at this point. But they are interested in traveling the world and having different perspectives of the way that people do things, different foods, different languages, different music. And I'm experiencing this on my team. That's the young side of it. The male-female side of it is also very interesting because I happen to be part of in our company, we happen to be part of the only female leadership team that aspired to leadership in our company, single and women. So there's 4 of us who have achieved this leadership position, and we're all single and women. Now, I happen to have a team that we're part of right now that has a ton of males on it. And their attitudes and abilities and communication skills and charisma is so incredible attached to this all-female team because they are part of a new way of doing things. And it's so incredibly inspiring to me to see this happening because I'm watching it in my own day-to-day, the communication abilities, the EQ, just everything that happens in being, in a matriarchal situation is I can actually feel it in my direct dealings right now with males. I love it.
I'm smiling because that is so true. And I normally use the movie A Few Good Men when I teach. I teach US military and public safety, so police, fire, homeland security. And when I am teaching them leadership, I have them as homework with their family watch the movie A Few Good Men. And The Few Good Men has only one female role, that is Demi Moore. She wears white. And that whole movie's lesson is no matter how good Tom Cruise is on his own, without that feminine energy and without that feminine nurturing, he doesn't blossom into the person he was meant to be. And it is only together they become a winning team. And the importance of understanding the power of the masculine and feminine energy coming together,
Absolutely.
and each being in their place of power, and understanding that each is powerful in its own way.
Yes.
And coming together with their individual powers is what makes the whole that much more successful. That is going to be a reality we have to consciously pursue and win because of it, coming out of a world that denigrates it.
I am very, I am lifted right now because I am of a generation of women that came into the workplace playing the man's game. And I got beat up because I'm not a man. And so I never got mentored by a strong, powerful woman. I tried to be, I tried to play the male game. And in this business, I get to play myself. And what's so beautiful about that is that I get to encourage others to be themselves. And I get to watch people develop into the best version of themselves because there's no rule around, well, you have to be this way. The way you have to be is honest, vulnerable, reflective of the other person. What you and I met in that way. It's like, how can I show you yourself through the things I share with you that will make you better, with no attachment to what that's going to be for me, but how I can best serve you. And this is what's so exciting about this kind of culture and environment, because this is the culture and environment of the future. As we've seen, these power structures that have been coming down on us don't work. I mean, you just described the new world order that's going to happen in this new presidency, which is basically to disassemble the current power structure, actually asking them to leave and giving them money to go, so that there's less of this downward feeling. I mean, this is interesting to me when I think about it this way, because I haven't necessarily thought about it this way, but that's what we do every single day. We're removing the barriers people have to financial literacy by teaching them things. It's beautiful.
Yes. And when people understand money and how money works, I am fascinated by the fact that here I am from a poor country.
Yeah.
But in my culture, the woman carries the keys to the house, the safe, and the kitchen. Woman is the head of the household. It doesn't mean woman is in competition with the man. It's a partnership, but the woman holds the keys to the castle, the kitchen, and the safe. She handles the money. The woman works. Women don't get married till they have a job and they can have a home for the husband to move into. The man moves into the woman's house. So coming to the West, the richest country in the world, and women don't handle money. Women didn't even have the right to own a bank account or have their own credit till the 80s.
Yes.
In the 80s, as a 16-year-old, I had a bank account and I was raising a family alone without my parents, signing contracts and negotiating deals as a 16-year-old in South Asia. It's possible there, but not here. And so I also wonder how much of relationships will get stronger, because when the woman doesn't handle the money and when she's no longer attractive, the man drops the wife and gets a trophy wife, right? That's traditionally has been the route. I always jokingly say I want women to learn, understand, and manage money so that they are not starter wives. They're just wives and they're partners to their
that's
husbands.
really, excuse me, I think that's really interesting perspective, because here's the way I let's interpret what you just said against this, which is the funny part of that equation from the Western perspective is the woman does make 80% of the financial decisions, right? She's always the influencer in the American culture, but not the power holder. So she knows how to spend, how to make decisions around how money goes out. But women are still only making 82 cents on the dollar of men. So that power structure is still unbalanced, and they're not empowered with financial literacy to understand the effect of their decisions, but those decisions are being made. So it's based on like nothing underneath it.
Absolutely.
Whereas in your culture, you actually were encouraged and educated culturally to hold that power and acknowledged as the power holder. So this is a very interesting, this is one of the things that you and I talked about early on. And I was
Yes.
always like, wow, this is
Yes.
amazing. This is
Yes.
mind blowing. It also explains why you are so determined to educate people. Where you came into this country and you're like, well, I've got to academically prove my education, right? The PhD, the black belt Sigma, all of that stuff was the validation of who you already were culturally.
Yeah. And
I
the interesting
I think
part
that's
is
fascinating.
we Western world raises daughters to be princesses.
Correct.
That means everything will be taken care of for you.
And
We in
taken
the East,
away, by the way.
yeah, and we are raised to be goddesses. That
Yes.
means we decide how lives are going to get impacted, right? Because the
So
power
good.
is in the hands of a goddess. And so
So
sometimes
good.
guys always say, oh, Cass, we're going out for the evening. You can wear your crown and come. And my joke is always, actually, you can bring me flowers because I'm a goddess and I like to wear them on my hair. Right?
Let
But
me instruct you.
so something as simple as how we raise our daughters.
Oh, yes,
There's a
absolutely.
negative connotation to being a princess, and there is such a powerful connotation for being a goddess.
Well, yes, because the princess is not the powerful one in the equation. The king is the powerful one in the equation.
And she always has to be rescued.
And not only that, she doesn't have any um she doesn't have any capital. She doesn't have any power capital at all. It's determined by above. So if you're the princess and you don't go by the rules by marrying the prince, by the way, you're still not equal there. Then, and if anything along the way, it's so funny because I just recently watched Downton Abbey again, and I was watching this like crazy power dynamic of women not being able to inherit, basically. And if you do anything wrong along the way, you're out. So playing by those rules is never going to provide you with sustainability. But playing by the goddess rules, the goddess makes the rules. So it's very, once again, Eastern, Western tradition, very different orientation towards power. And what we want to do is give people their power back, so that, because when you're educated, that's the greatest power, because you understand what your choices are, and you're empowered to make choices, and they're your choices, but you can make good ones.
Very much so. And I am always very, very mindful of making sure we empower women and we empower men.
100%.
We empower women by helping them understand how money works and how they can be in their place of femininity and own that power and be a nurturer and still thrive. And for men, it's about giving them the ability to feel, talk about feelings, and get in touch with their emotional intelligence. And through that process, build a psychological relationship with money that is more empowering. Because we also do a disservice to our boys and men by saying, don't feel, don't cry. If you do either of them, you're not a man. But we forget that the only thing that unites us humans is that we're feeling creatures who happen to have capacity to think and act differently.
And
If
when
we
we
take the feeling out, we are no
yeah,
longer human.
and when we take the feeling away, it doesn't allow you to make the connection. And the connection might be a mental connection. This is very interesting when it comes to like the way that we talk to people about making financial choices. One of the things I've really learned is make it simple. Make the understanding of the charts and the graphs and the numbers easy, so that everybody has access to understanding what the results could be. but that they're not afraid from the perspective of, wow, I trust this person to be actually telling me the truth. This is a very, very important part of what we do, which is we have to gain trust with people so that they can feel vulnerable, because money is the most vulnerable conversation. We just do not normalize the money conversation. So if we can help people feel the sense of, look, I'm going to tell you how it is for me too. I'm going to let you understand that you and I are going through the same thing right now. That it's not this is the thing I always felt with my financial advisors, was they were superior to me. They had superior knowledge and superior ability to predict the future, which was
That's the old masculine way, right? Even education is that way. An I-thou relationship. I'm God, you kneel down and take
absolutely
what I
wrong.
give you. But technology and technology-driven education,
Yes,
what we are doing, are democratizing everything. So
I
to
love it.
me, that is the power of what we do.
Yes,
We give people their power back. We give people the power to emotionally embrace a sense of abundance in terms of money, wealth, relationship to all of it and people. And in the process, help them build a life that is uniquely theirs. There's nobody who's perfect. There's no life that is perfect. But in the imperfectly perfect world,
yes,
how do we help people live their best version of life in a trusted, supported way? And that's all. I just wrote a year-end message to the community about who's packing your parachute, right?
oh wow.
Everybody celebrates the person who jumped. Does anybody turn around and thank the person who packed the parachute, that the parachute actually functioned and the person didn't die?
So good. I mean, it's that thing of like, if I'm going to chop a tree and I have
Mhm.
5 hours, I'm going to spend 4 hours sharpening the blade.
Yeah. So to me, what we are doing is we're going to help people pack their parachutes.
Yes, I love
That
that.
is our goal as we enter
I
2025.
love that.
So if you want to learn how money works, how money can work for you, how you can understand that and embrace a life of abundance, give us a call. You know how to get a hold of us. We will make sure that our contact information is available in this episode release. Make us a part of the process. Help us pack your parachute. And eventually, you will be able to pack your own parachute and help other people pack their parachutes, right?
Yes, very
So
important.
this is never about building something for us, but empowering you to go build for yourself and thrive for yourself. And we do that from a place of authenticity, because authenticity is the most highest resonance of any human vibration. We are creatures of energy and vibration. We come from a place of authenticity. We want to pass that on, and we want you to go and live your best life. And in that process, find your peace and happiness, because in the end, no amount of money is going to buy you that. And it is a mindset thing.
Ugh.
As we bring this to a close, Dominique, what closing thought you have for our audience out there?
I think the biggest thing for this year ahead, because I do feel like there are a lot of changes that people are, I'll use the word cautious about, maybe even a little deeper than that. But I think that a lot is happening in the world that is very new and very unsettling for a lot of people. One of the things that I really see is that there are many people who are in the middle of a very strong career who are probably the most vulnerable. People making over $100,000 and they've been doing it for 20, 25 years. A lot of layoffs in that space because they're clearing the decks to be able to have more fluidity. And that means getting rid of the people who make the most money. And what I see in that space is very difficult to replace that. And so I want to extend an invitation. If you're feeling that vulnerability, if you're feeling like, how am I going to do this? Learn another skill. And this is the area that we are really encompassing, is teaching people how money works. And we're looking for people to teach people how money works. So if that is a concern to you, and quite frankly, it should be a concern of how to create another income stream for all of us, we are here for that. And we're here. If you like the way that we're talking about this and you like our vibe and understanding that we really understand how to go into this next iteration of financial reality, this is what we do. And you get to be yourself doing it. So that would be my message, is be yourself, be the best version of yourself, learn how to do that, and we can help you with that.
Thank you so much, Dominique. It's been a joyful conversation. You and I can talk for hours, but unfortunately, I have to bring this to a close. And to our audience out there, embrace your true purpose, embrace your own authenticity, and give yourself the chance in 2025 to live the life your maker, this universe intended for you to have. Don't be dictated to by somebody else's desire for you, because you got just one life, as imperfect as it is. I always remind people, go out and look at the moon. Whether you see it whole, whether you don't see it, or if it's in some in-between stage between a new moon and a full moon, it's still there, it's still whole. So are you. How do you remain whole? How do you remain bright? And how do you light up your own path and light up for the others? That's where we can be of service to you. And whatever you learn, you get to do it for you, and you get to build your own life your own way, so that you can live your life in purpose, so that you live a life of joy and peace. And we wish you a very happy 2025. And we cannot wait to hear from you, talk to you, and get you started on your journey of understanding and building a relationship that is based on abundance with money and wealth, so that you have your money and your wealth work for you.